My name is Elena, and for 26 years I believed I had the kind of mother every daughter dreams of. I grew up in a beautiful suburban home in Portland, Oregon. Mom Diane was everything to me after my father passed away when I was 9. She worked 2 jobs to keep us comfortable, always made sure I had the best clothes for school, and never missed a single dance recital or parent-teacher meeting. People would often tell me how lucky I was to have such a devoted mother. After I graduated college with a degree in graphic design, I landed a solid job at a respected marketing agency in the city. I had my own cozy apartment downtown, a close group of friends, and I was dating Michael, a gentle, ambitious architect who made me feel safe and loved. We had just started talking about moving in together. Mom and I remained incredibly close. Every Sunday I would drive over to her house for our tradition homemade lasagna, wine, and hours of conversation. She was my best friend, the one person I told everything to. When Michael and I had our first big fight, I ran straight to her. When I got promoted at work, she was the first person I called, crying happy tears on the phone. She always told me, "Elena, you are my whole world. Everything I do is for you." I believed her with all my heart. At 26, my life felt almost perfect. I was healthy, happy, building a career I loved, and had a bright future ahead with Michael. I even started thinking about proposing to him one day. I had plans to surprise Mom with a mother-daughter trip to Italy next summer, something she had always dreamed about. I trusted her completely. She was my rock, my safe place. The one person I knew would never hurt me. But some secrets are so dark, they can only stay hidden for so long. Little did I know that my perfect mother was about to shatter my entire world in the most unimaginable way possible. The first crack in our perfect relationship appeared 3 months ago, in late March. I had called Mom to confirm our usual Sunday dinner, but she sounded distracted and tired. "Sorry, honey, I'm not feeling well. Let's skip this week," she said. That was unusual. Mom never canceled our Sundays. But I brushed it off. She was getting older, and she had been working hard at her real estate job. Then the excuses started piling up. She missed my birthday lunch, saying she had an important client meeting. She stopped answering my calls during the day and only texted back late at night with short replies. When I asked if everything was okay, she would say, "Just busy with work, sweetheart, don't worry about me." One evening, I decided to surprise her with her favorite cheesecake. When I pulled up to the house, all the lights were off except for a faint glow in the upstairs bedroom. I knocked, but no one answered. I used my spare key and stepped inside. The house felt different. Some of her favorite photos of us were missing from the walls. Her closet had several new expensive dresses I had never seen before. When I called her name, she came rushing down the stairs, looking startled. "Elena, what are you doing here?" she asked, forcing a smile. I laughed nervously. "I brought cheesecake." "Are you okay, Mom? You've been so distant lately." She hugged me tightly, a little too tightly. "I'm fine, baby, just stressed with some big deals. I love you so much." Her words felt sincere, but something in her eyes looked off, almost guilty. Over the next few weeks, the strange behavior continued. She started asking me very specific questions about my life insurance policy from work. She wanted to know if I had updated my beneficiary information. When I joked that she would get everything if something happened to me, she laughed a little too loudly. I ignored all the warning signs. This was my mom, the woman who raised me alone, the woman who cried with me when I got my first heartbreak. She could never hurt me. But the biggest red flag came 2 weeks before everything exploded. I saw a strange charge on my shared family credit card, a large payment to a funeral home. When I asked her about it, she said it was for an old friend who passed away. I believed her. How could I not? I had no idea I was about to become the old friend. 2 weeks later, my entire world was destroyed in one phone call. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon. I was at my desk finishing a project when my phone rang. The caller ID showed Portland Police Department. "Miss Elena Harper?" A serious voice asked. "I'm sorry to inform you, your mother has reported you missing, and we've opened an investigation into your possible death." I laughed at first. This must be some kind of joke. But it wasn't. The officer explained that my mother had filed a missing persons report 3 days earlier. She told them I had been struggling with depression and had sent her a goodbye text before disappearing. She even claimed she found my car abandoned near a bridge known for suicides. I was speechless. I immediately called my mom, but her phone went straight to voicemail. In a panic, I drove straight to her house. My key still worked. The moment I stepped inside, I froze. There were candles lit, soft music playing, and on the dining table was a framed photo of me with black ribbon across it like a memorial. Before I could process what I was seeing, I heard voices from the backyard. I quietly walked toward the sliding glass door and looked outside. My mother was there. She was wearing a beautiful white dress, laughing happily with a man I didn't recognize. There were about 15 people seated in the yard. A small wedding arch decorated with flowers stood behind them. My mother was getting married, and they were celebrating my death. I stood there frozen as I heard her say to her new husband, "The insurance money finally came through last week. We can finally buy that beach house we dreamed of." Honey, the words hit me like a knife to the chest. She had faked my death. She had forged documents. She had told everyone I killed myself, all so she could collect my life insurance money, over $850,000. The betrayal was so deep, so evil, that for a moment I couldn't even breathe. This was the woman who raised me, the woman I trusted more than anyone in the world. She didn't just lie to me, she erased me for money. Tears streamed down my face as I backed away from the door. My own mother had chosen cash over my life, and in that moment, something inside me broke completely. I don't remember driving home that night. The next few weeks became a blur of pain, rage, and crushing depression. I couldn't tell anyone what I had discovered. How do you explain that your own mother faked your death for insurance money? Who would even believe something so monstrous? I called in sick to work for days. I stopped answering Michael's calls and texts. I barely ate. I would sit in my dark apartment for hours, staring at the wall, replaying every loving moment I had shared with my mother, wondering which ones were real and which ones were calculated. The worst part was the self-doubt. Was I a bad daughter? Did I not love her enough? Was I so difficult that she wanted me gone? I felt completely worthless. If my own mother, the person who gave birth to me, could do something this evil, then maybe I really was better off dead. The thought scared me, but it also felt comforting in my darkest moments. Michael eventually showed up at my door. When I finally told him a small part of the truth, he looked horrified, but stayed with me that night. Still, I could see the pity in his eyes, and it made me pull away even more. I was completely isolated. The one person I had always run to for comfort was the same person who had destroyed me. There was no one left. Some nights I would drive past my mother's house just to see the lights on. I saw her laughing, living her new life, wearing expensive new clothes, and planning her future with the insurance money she received by declaring me dead. The humiliation was unbearable. I had gone from being a happy, successful young woman with her whole life ahead of her to a ghost in my own life. But even in that darkness, a small fire began to burn inside me. I was not going to let her get away with this. I couldn't stay silent forever. 3 weeks after discovering the fake wedding, I did something I never thought I would do. I hired a private investigator. What he uncovered over the next 10 days shattered what little was left of my heart. My mother hadn't just faked my death for the insurance money. She had been planning it for over a year. She had forged my signature on multiple documents. She created a fake suicide note. She even paid someone to move my car to the bridge and stage the scene. The man she married, Richard, was in on it. He was a financial advisor who helped her navigate the insurance claims. But the most painful twist came when the investigator showed me the messages. In texts to Richard, my mother had written, "Elena has been so clingy lately. It'll be a relief when this is finally over. We can start our real life together." She didn't just want the money, she wanted me gone. The final devastating blow came when I learned she had already spent nearly $200,000 of the insurance payout on her wedding, a new luxury car, and a down payment on a vacation home. I sat in my car outside the investigator's office, shaking with silent sobs. This wasn't a moment of desperation. This was cold, calculated, long-term planning by the woman who raised me. The woman who used to kiss my scraped knees and tell me I was her greatest blessing. I realized I had never truly known her. Everything, every hug, every I love you, every sacrifice she claimed to make it, was all part of a performance so she could cash out when the time was right. The betrayal was complete. But with that pain came something else, clarity. I was done being her victim. I contacted a lawyer the next day and began building my case quietly. I gathered every piece of evidence. I saved every message. I even got copies of the forged documents. For the first time since I discovered the truth, I wasn't crying. I was planning, and I was ready to walk back into the life she tried to erase. I stopped being the heartbroken daughter and started becoming the woman who would take her life back. With the help of my lawyer and the private investigator, I built an airtight case. We gathered bank records, forged documents, text messages, and even security footage from the bridge where my car was found. Every piece of evidence proved my mother had intentionally committed fraud and identity theft. But I didn't want to just send her to prison. I wanted her to feel what I felt, the pain of being erased by someone you love. I spent weeks preparing emotionally and strategically. I worked with a therapist to stay strong. Michael stood by me, even though the situation terrified him. I even reconnected with a few close friends who helped me feel less alone. The plan was simple but powerful. I discovered that my mother and Richard had planned a big reception party 2 weeks later, a grand celebration now that the insurance money had cleared. They had invited dozens of people, including some of my old family friends who believed I was dead. I decided I would attend, not as a guest, as the ghost they tried to create. I bought a beautiful black dress. I got my hair and makeup done professionally. I wanted to look strong, alive, and unforgettable. My lawyer coordinated with the police so they would be ready when I gave the signal. The night before the party, I stood in front of the mirror practicing what I would say. Tears came, but I wiped them away. This wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. This was about justice. This was about refusing to stay dead. On the night of the reception, I drove to the beautiful waterfront venue with my heart pounding. I could hear music and laughter from inside. I took a deep breath and walked toward the entrance. My mother had no idea what was coming. The moment I stepped into the reception hall, time seemed to slow down. The room was beautifully decorated with flowers and fairy lights. People were laughing, drinking, and celebrating. On a large table near the front was a framed photo of me with the words "in loving memory" underneath. I walked slowly through the crowd. A few people gasped. Some dropped their glasses. The music kept playing, but conversations died one by one. At the center of the room, my mother stood in a stunning champagne-colored gown, holding a glass of champagne, smiling at her new husband. Then she saw me. The color drained from her face. The glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. "Elena?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. I walked straight up to her, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "Hi, Mom. Surprised to see me?" The entire room went silent. "You faked my death," I said clearly, so everyone could hear. "You forged documents. You told people I killed myself, all so you could collect $850,000 in insurance money and marry him." My mother's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Richard looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him. "I was your daughter," I continued, tears now falling down my face. "I loved you more than anyone. I trusted you with my life. And you erased me for money." I turned to the guests. "Everything she told you was a lie. I'm alive, and she's going to pay for what she did." At that moment, 2 police officers entered the hall. My lawyer had arranged everything. They arrested both my mother and Richard on charges of insurance fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. As the handcuffs clicked on her wrists, my mother looked at me with desperate eyes. "Elena, please. I'm your mother. I made a mistake. I love you." I looked at her one last time, the woman who raised me, who I had loved my entire life. "You stopped being my mother the day you chose money over my life." I turned and walked out of the hall without looking back, the sound of her crying behind me. The weeks and months that followed were difficult but transformative. My mother and Richard both took plea deals. She was sentenced to 7 years in prison, and he received 5. The court ordered them to return the remaining insurance money, though I knew some of it was already spent. Still, watching justice unfold gave me a sense of peace I desperately needed. I didn't visit her in prison. Some wounds are too deep to heal with words. I chose to protect my heart instead. Slowly, I began rebuilding my life. I returned to work stronger than before. My colleagues were shocked but incredibly supportive once they learned the truth. Michael and I grew even closer. His quiet strength helped me feel safe again. I also started therapy regularly, learning how to trust people without losing myself in the process. I sold my old apartment and moved into a brighter place near the river. I planted a small garden and took up painting again, something I had given up years ago to please my mother. I traveled to Italy alone, fulfilling the dream I once wanted to share with her. Most importantly, I learned to mother myself in the way she never did. Sometimes the deepest betrayals come from the person who was supposed to love you the most. My mother didn't just break my heart, she tried to erase my entire existence for money. But in doing so, she accidentally gave me something priceless, the chance to become who I was truly meant to be. I no longer need her approval. I no longer carry her guilt. I am free. If you're watching this and you've been betrayed by family, by the person who was supposed to protect you, please know this. Their failure to love you properly does not make you unlovable. You are not broken. You are not worthless. And you will rise. The best revenge isn't hatred. It's healing. It's living well. It's becoming the person they could never destroy. This is Elena. I was erased by my own mother, and I came back stronger than ever. Thank you for listening to my story.